Hello and welcome to
Doomsday Preppers.
Have you watched that show? I love it. One of my favourite reality programmes of all time. An intoxicating blend of paranoia, ingenuity and firearms. Always so many firearms. Now, I watched all 3 seasons when they came out a few years ago. They were originally on Nat Geo. They're now on Netflix if you're interested. And something led me to them again about 3 or 4 months ago. I have no idea why. And I wondered if all of those people who were preparing for this very eventuality for a global pandemic and had dug these underground bunkers in their back garden were all sitting there in their underground bunkers cracking a beer and saying, "I told you so." And if they were, what watch would they have on their wrist? What is the ultimate Doomsday Prepper watch? I reckon I've got one candidate for that very title on my wrist today by Luminox. Now, full disclosure, this one was sent to me for free by Luminox. I don't have to send it back. They got in touch earlier this year and said, hey, would you be interested in reviewing one of our watches? And I said, you do that range by Bear Grylls, don't you? I'm sure you're all familiar with Bear Grylls. Well-spoken English gentleman, a survivalist, probably most famous for extracting a pleasant glass of water from an elephant's droppings a few years ago. I assume he had a full crew on hand with mouthwash shortly thereafter. Now, they have a range of 3 watches, Luminox, in conjunction with Bear Grylls, and they allowed me to pick the one that I thought was best. I didn't pick the most expensive one, and I did it for a very specific set of reasons. If this is going to be the ultimate watch for your bug out bag when the SHTF, I reckon it's going to do as much as possible, which is why I went for this one. Let's FTC and see if you agree with me. Alright, let's start with a brief look at the Luminox website. I will leave a link to this one in the description of the video. It will direct you to your local region's website. So don't be too alarmed with these prices. These are in Aussie dollars. The watches aren't cheap today, by the way, but I think you get a good quality product for your money. Bear in mind there's a 10% email sign-up discount available as well. Luminox have been making watches for Navy SEALs and various military airmen for 25 years. There are plenty of other options for you if you like the look, but you're not keen on the Bear Grylls specific range. These are the 3 that I was most interested in though. 2 of them are labelled as kind of Bear Grylls C. They're slightly more dive focused. There's one chronograph with sapphire crystal and there is one 3-hander with mineral crystal. Both feature Swiss made on the dial, Swiss quartz movements and tritium tubes illuminating the hands and the dial. Now, in spite of the draw of that big sapphire crystalled chronograph, I opted for one of these 2 survival specific models, specifically because they had mineral crystal. I reckon in a survival scenario you're probably better off with mineral than sapphire. You can whack it off a rock or 2 and it will scratch rather than shatter. For dress watches and the like, you should definitely be going for sapphire, but something that's designed to take a beating like this, I think mineral is a good option for you. The 2 that they offer with this configuration, there's one on a paracord. Now, paracord has the potential to get you out of situations, but you can really only use it once unless you can tie it up yourself. Thereafter, you have a pocket watch or a fob watch. So I opted for this rubber strapped version with the optional detachable compass. I reckon there's a heap of extra functionality if you opt for the rubber that you don't get with the paracord. And here it is in a nice shiny box with Bear Grylls Find Your Adventure. There's lots of kind of 3-word buzzwords and catchphrases here today. Nice kind of flight case, Luminox Swiss made. Pop that one open and there is the watch and some instructions which today, you know what, I might actually read. So 2-year international warranty on these, which you would expect at the price, but quite nice nonetheless given that it's a quartz movement. Instruction manual and warranty information should you require it, and a couple of little Bear Grylls brochures here. Please remember you can do formula. I guess if you are treating this watch as part of your EDC or you are a prepper, then you should probably read this. You'll probably be on this stage anyway though, and the specific Luminox Bear Grylls Find Your Adventure, a life of adventure waits, some motivational quotes from Bear, including his signature, "Never give up." And there is the watch. Now let's not kid ourselves, it's a big boy today. These kind of tactical style watches do tend to be larger in scale. However, don't let the foreboding dimensions put you off. I had to measure this one 2 or 3 times today because it really doesn't feel, I mean, it looks like a big watch on wrist. It doesn't feel like a big watch on wrist, and I think there's a couple of reasons for that. Now the Luminox website states this is 45mm in diameter. My calipers measure it at 48mm in diameter with a 54mm lug to lug. Definitely one of the biggest watches that I've reviewed on the channel. 14.5mm thick, 24mm lug width, and on the supplied rubber strap with optional compass. This one weighs in at 95 grams. You drop about 7 grams if you want to ditch the compass. And I reckon if you were wearing this one as an EDC, you would probably want to ditch the compass, but keep it somewhere safe for the weekends. Now the watch case today is not made of stainless steel, as you can probably guess. It's made of a carbon fibre composite material called Carbonox. This is Luminox's own proprietary material. They've been making watches featuring this since 2006. It's got that nice kind of carbon marled finish. One of the reasons why they can make a big watch like this so light is because they use a carbon composite. Case back though is a screw down stainless steel for anti-allergy purposes. 200 meters of water resistance. We've got a screw down crown here with the Luminox logo on the end, and it is a rubberized crown, so it is nice and easy to grip. Stainless steel chrono pushers here. Now the movement is not specified. It is Swiss quartz chrono movement, 30-minute chrono with a small second there at the 3 o'clock and a date down there at the 6. My guess is that it is an ETA movement. That would probably make sense. It's either an ETA or a Ronda anyway. Dated battery life of this one is between 18 months and 3 years, depending on how often you use the chronograph. One push of the top pusher to engage it, one push of the top pusher to stop, and one push of the bottom pusher to reset. There is also an end of life indicator here as well. That small second hand will tick forward 4 seconds at a time when the battery is approaching the end of life, so you're not caught short. Any good prepper will have a stack of batteries on hand for this. It won't be difficult just popping that case back off with a cheap tool and swapping the battery out when the time comes. Zoomed right in on the dial, you can tell it's a big watch today because it fills the entire screen when I zoom in on it. First thing you probably notice is those prominent tritium T25 tubes on the end of the hour and the minute hands wrapped in orange. They're also at the 4 major indices, the 12, the 3, the 6 and the 9. T25 it states on the dial there. Now, not as crazy bright as T100, but they should last for a period of at least 25 years, so Luminox claim anyway. And the fact that they have a couple of different colorways here mean you always know which way this watch is aligned. If you have to reach for it, if you're scrambling around for it, or if it's not on your wrist at any point, you can tell which way the watch is aligned. A bit of lume would have been nice, but not really necessary given the tritium tubes. There's plenty going on here, plenty of depth as well as texture. I guess you can afford to do that with a 14.5mm thick quartz chronograph, but I think it looks pretty good. Cross hatching on the main dial, the Luminox logo prominently under the index at 12, 200 meters, date frame down there at 6, and 2 textured subdials at the 3 and the 9. It's a 30-minute chrono timer here. You've probably also noticed a walking speed tachymeter bezel. Now, this was sent to me by Luminox USA, so it's in miles per hour and feet. There is a kilometer version if you're in Europe or if you're in Australia like I am. The way that works, I'll just reset this back up to 0, start your chrono, then start walking. You have to walk for a length of 164 feet. Good luck measuring that one. Once you reach the end point, you press stop on the chrono and that will tell you how many miles an hour you have been walking at. If I manage to run 164 feet in 9 seconds, I will be doing the not inconsiderable speed of about 13 miles per hour. So I guess that's one of the ways that this watch can help you if you are in a genuine outdoor land-based survival situation. A lot of the other assistance here comes from the strap. The long end features a couple of rulers in centimeters and in inches. The short end features a couple of map reading devices. If you're reading maps of a particular scale, it will let you know where half a mile, 1.5 mile, or the other side up to 3 miles are. If you flip over to the back, you have the full Morse code alphabet on the buckle end and Morse code numerals on the long end. And don't forget the optional compass, which seems to be pretty consistent and therefore worthwhile. And there it is on top of my 7-inch wrist. Like I said, 48 and 54, big set of on-paper dimensions, but it just doesn't feel that big when it's on wrist, probably because of that Carbinox carbon composite case. About 95 grams with the optional compass, or 85 grams if you remove it. I probably would be removing it most of the time. Great for a survival situation, but not great, not really necessary at your local shopping mall. There we are, that's a bit more reasonable, isn't it? The case actually curves quite nicely, it fits my wrist well, and the fact that it's a rubber strap means it's nice and comfortable. And there we are, that's the proper overhead shot. Busy dial, but still quite legible thanks to the orange surrounds on the hour and minute hand and the black and white colourway. And that's it outside. You can see I don't think they put any anti-reflective coating on the underside of that mineral crystal. Looks worse on camera than reality, but it would have been nice. On wrist you can see what I mean about the curvature of the case here. Once again, considering those big on paper dimensions, it really doesn't do all that badly for itself. But the compass is probably a step too far for me. So is this the ultimate doomsday prepper watch then? Is this the perfect EDC for those predicting the end of the world as we know it? What are the pros and cons of this Luminox Bear Grylls Land Edition Survival Special? Well, I do like the size. I think this tactical style of watch really suits being big and chunky, nice and easy to read as well. I like the Carbinox case. I like the fact that it weighs less than 100 grams, has 200 meters of water resistance, easy grip crown, tritium tubes on the hands and some of the indices as well. The quartz chrono, if you keep on top of the batteries, that means you know you've got a couple of years of accurate and reliable timekeeping. I think the compass is a useful feature in a genuine survival situation, and you'll get a bit of utility from some of the markings on this rubber strap as well. And hey, if it gets too much for you, you've always got Bear Grylls reminding you to never give up on the back. So the cons then, well, I would have preferred to have seen a standard large second indicator rather than the small second at the 3 o'clock. No markings on there, it's not all that obvious. I know the chrono kind of counteracts that and you can always use that as your second hand, but then that drains the battery, which isn't ideal in a survival scenario either. I think a few more tritium tubes wouldn't have gone amiss. They were a bit stingy, only putting 4 there. I've loved to have seen them all the way around, especially at the price. 900 Aussie dollars for this one, that's about 600 USD. There are plenty of other watches offering a kind of similar tactical feel for much less money than this one, but I guess none of them have the Bear Grylls seal of approval and none of them have the immortal words on the case back, never give up. So there you have it. Is this indeed the ultimate doomsday prepper watch? Well, it certainly ticks a lot of boxes. I appreciate it is not cheap. There are plenty of cheaper options out there if you just want to tell the time in a crisis, but they're not sponsored by Bear Grylls, are they? I think they got this one mostly right. It's legible, it's a good looking watch. The Carbinox case I really appreciate, and that short lug to lug means guys with average size wrists or less can still wear a big chunky survivalist special with ease. Thanks for watching. I will see you in a future video.